The book named Revelations. They had not worshipped the beast or its image. They had not received the mark on their foreheads or on their hands. They came to life and reigned with the Christ for 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them, but they will be priests of the Lord and of the Christ, and will reign with him for 1,000 years. Now, blessed and holy are those who share the first resurrection. So, before I was 38 years here, I used to walk around saying, I am, a forename and a surname. But then I was reborn, the first resurrection, and now I know I'm a living being, a child of the Creator that uses the forename and surname for commerce, for commercial use, for contract. I use the forename Philip, that's an oration, and the surname Hartley, that's a corp. I use the corporation, Philip Hartley, for commerce, for commercial use. A creation of the Crown, the state. A corporate ranked fictitious entity, Mr. Military registered, forename Philip, surname Hartley. It doesn't exist here in reality. I was born, this body, and the being that's energy that's controlling this body was born naturally of the womb. Annexed to this was a name, a forename and a surname. A forename derived from a calling that my mother called me to get my attention, Philip. That's a sound wave in the air that can't physically be this. And out of that was derived a forename, and it only exists on paper, and it's verified by ink. I'm verified by the blood coursing through the veins of this body. I'm living. And I use the forename Philip. I am not Philip. It's physically impossible to be Philip. So when someone says, you're Philip, I say, no, you say I am. I just use that forename, that oration. I act in person as the oration Philip for the surname Hartley, the call. In all legal matters, in all writings, dealings, transactions and proceedings, I perform in rank, name, rank, Mr. Philip Hartley. Ranked forename, surname. I can't physically be that. And I don't own it either, because that was created when I was a baby, and newborns can't contract. So it was annexed to us via contract, the birth certificate, an acknowledgement of the deed that created that thing, that trust, that surname, an acknowledgement that created the representative for that surname, Mr. Philip Hartley, Mr. Oration for the Corp. So I no longer walk around saying I am Mr. Philip Hartley. I know better now. So I'm reborn. I walk in the life, in the light with the Christ. Not Jesus, because Jesus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call the Christ, that's a calling or a name. That's the name that the Christ used. When the brother called Pontius, that performed as Pontius Pilate, said to the Christ, are you Jesus of Nazareth? The Christ replied, you say I am. I don't worship the name that the Christ used, the man-made label. I worship the Christ that used that name. There's a difference. I am a living being, a child of the Creator that uses the names Philip and Hartley, the forename and surname Philip Hartley. On the birth certificate that I foolishly claim to be my own, it's signified, the surname signified in all capitals, and the forename, if any, the names, if any, forename of Philip is signified in precise English. So on the birth certificate, there's two different languages. There's the born notice, which is in the rectangle, incorporated into the crown. All acts, all dealings, writings, transactions and proceedings require acts of incorporation. I know that everything registered to the legal entity, Philip Hartley, which is created by the Crown, verified by contract, the birth certificate, Crown property, says that on the bottom of the contract, warning, a certificate is not proof of identity. I know that everything registered to that name is Crown property. So the address, it's not my address, it's the name's address, which is Crown property. The passport, the driver's license, just because there's a license with a photo of this flesh and a name next to it doesn't mean that this flesh is that name. I'm just a being that uses that first name and surname. Now, I've been tricked all my life to claim I am it. Since I was took to an indoctrination camp at school with false teachers that teach and preach names, same as the churches all around the country and all around the world. They preach names, they preach man-made labels rather than living reality beings, you know. I know for a fact, I know that we're tricked to claim that name from the moment we can go to school and be taught. We're tricked to register to claim to be the name. They read a name out of a registry. I'm here, you know, it's just indoctrination. And then any copper, any policy overseer, because that's what this all names are governed by. Corporate Contractual Westminster Policies named law, Land, Air and Water, LAW. They think they own it all. That's all it is to the legal entities, all governed by acts and statutes. You know, it's a shame, my friends. It's an absolute shame that folk don't know what they are, not who they are, but what they are. Who is the legal entity? What is the being that uses the legal entity? You know, it's crazy. I am not Philip. I am a man that is called Philip, and the first name I use in contract is Philip. It's a forename. I've digressed about from something I was trying to tell you, because it's very hard to explain it all without sounding nuts. But I ain't nuts. I'm speaking absolute fact. It is physically impossible for thou, the one listening to this man, to be the first name and the surname that you use for contract. They've tricked us. I'm not Philip in Doncaster, my friends. I am just a man called Philip at a town named Doncaster. I'm not in Doncaster. I'm not included in Doncaster, the corporation, the name. The name I use is not included either. I don't consent to it. Silence is agreement, you see. There are assumptions made. The trusts that are annexed to us via the contract, the surnames, that are nationally insured and put out on the stock market, that's why the weight of a child is so important in LBS, in pounds. You know, it's name, date of birth, and pounds. The name's not born naturally from the womb. Only the living being that's going to use the name is. The names are created by, because in this realm, he who creates owns, right? The name I use was created by the Crown, verified by the birth certificate. So I no longer walk around saying that's my name. And I don't claim anything registered to that name because, as a matter of fact, verified by contract in this legal world, anything registered to that name is Crown property. There's three corporates, Washington DC, Vatican and London City, taking a piss out of us all. Peace and love be with you. Mwah. Love you.